I'm not the greatest baker in the world. I always hate putting baking soda because it's like annoying. Me and my great value spices. Wow, I just spilled salt everywhere. Hello friends, and welcome to my kitchen. So today I'm actually going to be talking about all of the books that I read in October whilst baking cookies. So it has been snowing out for the past couple of days and it looks a lot like Christmas. Cue Christmas music. So I thought that it would be kind of fun to bake ginger cookies whilst talking about all of the books that I read for October. I got this idea from Alex Olivier and I will leave her channel down below. She's absolutely wonderful booktuber. I highly recommend her channel. She is so kind and thoughtful and funny and I love talking about Twice with her. So yeah, let's get into baking. So I'm not the greatest baker in the world. So we're gonna see how this goes. The first thing that the actual recipe counts for is 1 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm actually really nervous. I've never really baked from scratch by myself before, so this will be interesting. So the first book that I read in October was Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker and Wendy Zhu. So I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars and I absolutely loved it. Essentially this book is a graphic novel where the main character is learning to be a witch and she encounters one of her old friends who brings this entity into this town through their heritage as a werewolf, if that makes any sense. So the two of them rekindle their friendship and kindle a love for one another, all whilst trying to stop this entity that has come in with her friend's magic. I thought that this book was really good because it kind of like had a lot of really casual, diverse representation. So the main character's family was from somewhere in Asia. I think it's China, but don't quote me on that. I just thought that it was really cute. The main character was also deaf. She had hearing aids. And then her love interest was actually a non-binary person slash werewolf. And it was just really, really cute. The art was really, really gorgeous. I don't actually have the physical copy because I got an e-arc from NetGalley. And I just thought that it was really cute. It was a really enjoyable read. I probably read it within 1 sitting. And yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for that one. That's the first book that I read. All right, half a teaspoon of baking soda. I always hate putting baking soda because it's like annoying. So the second book that I actually read in October was The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. So this book is about our main character who carries the, I guess, family legacy of having these sort of powers to shapeshift, but he actually hasn't grown into it yet and he doesn't want to. So essentially it's about his journey, about learning how to be an actual witch. So the genders of this kind of like clan of witches, I guess. The males do the shape-shifting magic and then the females do the witch stuff. And he wants to learn about the witch stuff, but he doesn't want to learn about the shape-shifting stuff. And there's essentially a person within his family who also did the same thing but ended up turning evil. And he actually comes back and the main character has to kind of like fight it. So this is a middle grade graphic novel and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought that it was really cute. I did think that it was going to have queer representation, but it ended up not having it. So I was a little disappointed in that, but nowhere did it say that it had queer representation. I just thought that maybe it would. What is next on this recipe? Half a teaspoon of baking powder. I really hope I'm doing these measurements correct. So yeah, that was the only kind of like issue that I had with that book. So yeah, that's the second book that I read. What is next on the recipe? 3/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. I think that's this one, yes. Me and my great value spices. So the third book that I actually read in October was Frankly in Love by David Yoon. I got gifted this by Penguin Teens, so thank you so much to them. So this is a story about a Korean American teen who is just trying to get through high school and he wants to start dating, but his parents will not allow him to date anyone other than another Korean or Korean American. And so when he falls in love with a white girl, he kind of has to deal with all of that. And this is a really interesting book that explores a lot of issues such as racism within the Asian American community. and just like racism between other races. So throughout this entire book, the whole theme is that Frank is just kind of trying to navigate through his parents being racist to like his friends. He has a black best friend and they are racist towards him, and then also to other people within the Asian community, such as like Chinese people and Japanese people. And so it's a really, really interesting take on the whole racism aspect. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason why I didn't give it a 5-star is because whilst I know that the relationships within this book are probably pretty correct and spot on with what relationships were like within teenage people, it was really cringy. So like the characters said I love you within like the first month of dating, and I'm just like, guys, what are you doing? Stop. And yeah, it was just it was interesting for sure. And then also there's cheating in this book, and I really don't like when cheating is used as a plot point, so I didn't like that aspect of it either. Otherwise, it was a really, really good read. It was hilarious. Frank is a really funny character, and I really loved all of the relationships and like the friendships between Frank and his friends. I thought that they were really well executed, and there's a really beautiful relationship kind of blossoming between Frank and his father. I thought that that was a really nice touch within the novel as well. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. It was one of my favorite reads of this year, even though I did only give it 4 stars. And obviously like it wasn't written for me, so no qualms with that whatsoever. 4 out of 5 stars. What did I read next? So the next book that I actually read was The Hidden Witch by Molly Knox Ostertag. So that is the sequel to The Witch Boy. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole plot within that because it is a spoiler, and if you do want to read the entire graphic novel series, which I do recommend you doing, I think that it's a great graphic novel series, then I wouldn't want to spoil you. But I give it a 5 out of 5 stars as well. I really enjoyed that one. I said in my review, in my review book, that I loved the focus on what makes an actual healthy relationship. So there is a friendship in there that becomes quite toxic because the other one is not having like a good time. And so it's really interesting to see that kind of perspective through a middle grade kind of lens. So I did really enjoy that about that. Ooh, I'm excited. The next book that I read in October was one of my favorite reads, if not my most favorite read of the entire month, and that is The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman. What do I say about this book other than the fact that I freaking loved everything about it? I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought that it was absolutely fantastic. I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook was also really great. So if you want to listen to the audiobook, I would definitely recommend it. This book is so well executed. So I thought that the friendships between this book and like exploring how relationships grow and falter was really, really cool. I also thought that the depiction of grief that Violet experiences just rang so true with me. I really related to it, and I thought that Violet was an absolutely phenomenal character. Violet was my favorite character. I think my next favorite character was probably Harper. I thought that she was pretty badass too. I did think that it was like one of the best debuts that I've read this year. I think that it was absolutely fantastically executed, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, I actually need to do more baking stuff now. So I've done all of the ground ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and I need to do salt. Do I have salt? Ugh. Okay, do this puppy. These are probably gonna taste horrible. I'm so scared. Like, I'm so scared that I screwed up somehow. 1/4 cup of sugar. That's not a lot of sugar, actually. Usually cookies, oh wait, no, it is kind of a lot of sugar. 2 tablespoons of packed brown sugar. That's all the dry ingredients and done. I can put this stuff away now. I am one of those people that likes to put stuff away as I go because I hate having to clean up everything after I'm done. And yeah, wow, I just spilled salt everywhere. Love that for me. My notebook getting dirty. So the next 2 books that I read in October, I'm going to talk about both of them at the same time, and that is Space Boy Volume 1 and Space Boy Volume 2. So this is a story about our main character Amy, who is a young girl who lives on a colony in space, and it's just kind of her adjusting to life. She gets put in cryo, so her best friend from when she was at home is now like 40 and has a kid. And she's still high school age. So it's really interesting. Stir this until Doesn't that look delicious? Not. So yeah, I really liked this book. I gave them both 4 out of 5 stars because I thought that there was something missing. I wasn't quite sure what, but there was something missing. I did really enjoy the whole like synesthesia part. I thought that that was really interesting, and I will be reading on in the story, but it wasn't quite a 5-star read for me. Whip this with. For some reason I don't have a whisk, and I don't know why, but it is probably the dumbest thing ever. But again, I don't really bake much, so yeah. This is chaos. Like, I literally don't know how to bake. It's embarrassing. I had to use eggless because I only have 1 egg, and it is way too cold outside to go and grab eggs. So your person's not going and doing that. Just watch as these cookies taste absolutely awful. I'm scared. I'm really scared that I've done this wrong, guys. This does not look right. I wish I had a mixer, but I am poor. So the next book that I read in October was probably one of my most anticipated reads of this year. And it was also one of my most disappointing, and that was A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. So this story is essentially about this girl named Eva who is the princess of this land, and she has to do like this tradition where she kills her sister in order to maintain the throne. I had some issues with it. So this main plot line is that she has to learn about the magic that she has. She has magic of marrow and bone, and nobody has actually done this magic for years. And the only person that knew how to do this magic before her was a queen that essentially went crazy. And so everybody is really wary of this magic that she has, and so she hasn't actually been able to use it. And so when she finally grows into her magic, she has no one to teach her how to do this magic because nobody knows how to do it, but she ends up finding this teacher who actually teaches this magic. And so I just didn't connect with any of the characters, and I will acknowledge that this book wasn't written for me. So all of the characters are inspired by Northern African mythology, I do believe. But yeah, I didn't connect to a lot of the characters, and the romance that was trying to be portrayed in this book I didn't agree with either. I didn't think that the characters had any chemistry. Like, I mean, it was good, it just wasn't great. So I gave it a 3-star. All right, so the dough is all kind of like balled up, and I'm gonna let it chill in the freezer for about 15 minutes. And then I will come back and arrange it on the cookie sheet and talk about the last 2 books. Okay. And we're back. So I chilled the dough, and now I'm just going to roll them out onto this baking tray and decorate them a little bit, and we're going to talk about some more books that I read. So the second last book that I read in the month of October was Summer of Salt by Christina Leno. So I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, but originally I was actually probably going to give it like a 3 out of 5 stars. So essentially this story is about these 2 twins who live on this island called Beyond the Sea, and they are witches, and their family runs like an inn, and so the one sister, Mary, has the power to float, but the main character, Georgina, hasn't actually grown into her powers yet. And every year there is this bird called Annabella who attracts this huge kind of like audience, I guess, for this island, and they essentially get like most of their tourism from it. And it's a bird that's like really old, and so a lot of these kind of like scientists come and look at the bird and like study her, and it's this whole thing on this island. This book is kind of, it's weird because it's like fantasy but also contemporary and also magical realism. So, oh, the oven is preheated. So essentially this book is just kind of like going over these gals' lives and showing the reader like what it's like at Beyond the Sea. I honestly wasn't sure what I was going to get out of this story. It is quite boring at the beginning, although the writing is absolutely beautiful, I will say that. So I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get out of it. I didn't think I was going to like it that much, but the themes that are actually talked about in this book are quite a lot more serious than just like day-to-day lives for witches. So there is a theme of rape in there, so trigger warning for that. The main character, Georgina, she is a lesbian, and so it's kind of like going through her life as a lesbian teen in this town that is like very, very close-knit. And then it's kind of like a coming-of-age story as well. It's just a really, really sweet story, and I really, really loved it. So I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I thought it was absolutely beautiful. Like I said, the writing was amazing. The characterization was really good. Mary was really funny. I really liked her. I thought that she was hilarious. The love interest was really cute too, although it does not take up a huge portion of the story that goes to like sexual assault and stuff like that. So yeah, I really liked it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. My friend Sarah, I'll leave her channel up here, kindly gifted this to me. So thank you so much, Sarah. I love you. You are the best, and I'm so glad I loved this book. So the last book that I read in October was possibly one of the most disappointing books that I've read this year, and it's not that it was a bad book, it was just not what I expected / not what I wanted, and that is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. So I gave this a 3-star. I was hoping and praying that it was going to be a 5-star, but as soon as I started to read more and more, I got more underwhelmed with the story. So essentially this book is about our main character who is a witch, and after getting caught doing a petty crime, gets married off to somebody called a chasseur. And so a chasseur is a witch hunter, but the chasseur that she actually gets married to isn't actually aware that she's a witch. And so this book is essentially kind of like going through this girl's past and developing this relationship with this chasseur who she's unwillingly married to. And whilst I loved the concept of it, as you guys know, I'm a big fan of Dragon Age, and that just like screamed Mage Templar relationship to me, which I love. It just didn't work out the way I wanted it to. For a book that's been hyped up to be like steamy and romantic, it was very underwhelming. So I was looking forward to all of the romance in here. I'm not gonna lie, I like romance as much as the next person, but unfortunately the romance and the chemistry between the two characters did not live up to the standards that it was being hyped up to be. And I also just think that all of the world building could have been done so much better. Also, the magical aspect of it wasn't really playing a huge part in this book. You do see magic being performed, but it takes a backstage to the romance that I thought was kind of mediocre. I will say that I loved Lou in this book. Lou was the shining moment for me. I thought that she was fantastic. She was funny, she was resourceful, she was snarky, and just a really, really good embodiment of a good, well-rounded character. But Reed was boring. Reed was so boring. And the more that I talk about this book, the more I'm getting annoyed at it, and the more that I want to rate it lower. I don't even know. And I just thought that the ending of this book was really cheap too. I didn't think that it was done very well, and I just think that maybe Shelby Mahurin could have just done so much more with it. I will say though, she did do a lot of research, and I think that the historical aspect of it was pretty great. Not sure if it's accurate or not, but it was cool. Overall, it was a good story. The writing was really good, the plot was okay, and the ideas that it was based off of were good. Just the execution wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, and the romance was hyped up for literally nothing because it just bored me. So that's what I thought of Serpent and Dove, and what can you do? You can't win all of them, right? And 3 stars isn't really losing, it's just an average rating. So I am done putting these cookies on the baking sheet now, so I'm actually going to put it in the oven and then I'm going to bake them. So I will return back with kind of like my wrap up once these are done and let you know how they taste. Excited to try these. Look how amazing they came out. I'm so excited. Okay, so I took these out of the oven and I have my little glass of milk, so I am going to taste test them the only way that I know how. with milk. So the one thing I will say is that they're pretty crunchy on the outside, but they're really gooey on the inside, so might have to tweak the old recipe a little bit, but overall, they're really good. Today is probably like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. But anyways, there you have it. That's me baking and talking about the books that I read in October. I hope you enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm very proud of the fact that I actually baked something edible because, like I said, I'm not the best baker in the world. If you liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up and let me know what your favorite thing to bake is and what books were your favorite in October. As always, all of my social media links will be down in the description box below if you'd like to follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, or my Goodreads. Again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!